His name is Jay-Z, also known as Sean Carter, one of the most iconic hip-hop legends, Rockefeller Records. Did you know when he first started out, he was selling CDs out of his trunk? He couldn't get signed to a record label, so he started his own. Let's jump into some inspirational videos and interviews with Jay-Z. I hope it inspires you. This is Chris from Smart Music Business, also known as Manifest. Let's go.
We look at this as one family, one crew, one band. We're gonna have a great tour. We're ready to finish this up here in about 8 or 9 days, take it to Miami, and have a great run.
It's like the Wild West. The Wild, Wild West. We need to write the new rules. Believe in yourself, even if anyone else believes in you. You got that ultimate confidence, and just believe in yourself. The biggest motivation that kept me on my grind, just knowing to represent for a whole culture of people. It wasn't bigger than myself. You know, I love what I do. I love making music and love creating, but it's bigger than myself.
There's a knowing in being an artist. There's a knowing. You can't guess. You can't think. There's a knowing. You have to know that even if it doesn't work today, tomorrow, I think when it all is said and done, we will play that music more than any other music, right? So you have to have this knowing that, okay, it may not work today, it may not work tomorrow, but this is the right thing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what's feeding me. So that would be the best advice that I can give you. That knowing, just believe in what you're doing, and if you don't believe in it, then you're not doing it. You haven't figured out the thing that you do best yet. When you feel it and when you know, no one can tell you. You only have to be right once.
For me, it was like actionable item. What are we gonna do with it? Like everyone heard, and we hear what you're saying, and everybody know I agree with what you're saying. So, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, as an artist, I've always held myself in high regard and respect. And if I'm in this position or in a space where I feel like the level of respect that I earn as an artist is being compromised, I'm gonna speak about it. If you can provide effective ways to push a conversation forward and help people at the same time, that I'm really into action. You know, I'm really into like real work. I'm not into like how it looks. You know, how it looks only lasts for a couple months until we really start doing the work. And everybody, oh, I've been in this position many times where people, before I even say what I'm about to do, have told me what I'm thinking or how it's going to turn out. And then 5 years later, you know, we look back at, take Tidal's a great example for, take that 5 years ago, and now you look at it today and people have a different outlook on it. But at the time, it was like, what's going on? So I've been in this position many times, and you know, I just show up and do the work. I'm not really interested in how things look on the outside. And if protesting on the field is the most effective way, then protest on the field. But if you have a vehicle like Inspire Change where you can speak to the masses and educate at the same time as well, tell people what's going on so people are not controlling your narrative and not telling you your protest is about this. You're like, no, I'm telling you out of my mouth it's about this one thing. You know, but if you have a platform that's reaching millions of people, it's hard to steer the narrative the way they want to. No, we need something that happens every day, because there's things happening all over this country, and it's a lot of turmoil. And I think that we all have a responsibility to just push it forward. Like, it's good to have, like, you know, conversations about it. That's great. We have to bring awareness to it. So I'm not knocking the conversation. I actually welcome the conversation. I want to be held to a higher standard. I'm not even gonna say higher standard. I want to be held accountable for what I'm doing. Right? It keeps me sharp. Let me know that I can't play around. I have to do what I said I'm gonna do. I'm self-motivated, so that's fine. You know, the extra pressure is fine too. People have to evolve, and people have to want to be better, and people have to want to have conversations. And you know, this is the real world. You can't say, oh, you made a mistake, you're canceled. I'm never speaking to you ever again. That doesn't accomplish anything. You know, so that's what I believe. I believe real change is had through conversation and real work. wanting to do things. And America in general looked at rap as this fad thing, or looked at our music as fad. It's the number one genre in the world and has been that way. When people tell you, oh, rap is number one now, that's 15 years ago. You just can't hide the statistics now because of streaming. The streaming numbers are so outrageous that you can't hide it. But in 1998, rap was the number one genre. I feel honored to be in these situations that I could use my voice and do the things I do. It's an extension of my family. It's like the things that I do. I tell my family all the time. I tell my grandmother, my mom, they're proud. They're super proud and strong women, and they won't ask me for anything. And I say, man, there are times where I don't want to get my picture taken, and I want to eat, and paparazzi like take photos in your face and screaming at you and like taking pictures, and you can't take your kid to the park. And I'm like, those are the sort of things that give the reason why I'm okay with it, and why I can cope and live with these things without, much as a complaint. It's the things that it allows me to do, the spaces that it affords me, the rooms I'm allowed to go in as myself. I walk in every room as myself. I don't walk in any room as anyone else. I'm not cowering. I'm not speaking soft. My voice doesn't change. It sounds exactly the same way. I'm walking as myself and proud, and I speak for us, and that gives me a joy. I'm honored to be in those rooms. And there's a solution for us. If we had a power base together, we would have much different conversation than me having a conversation by myself, trying to change America by myself. If I come with 40 million people, it's a different conversation, right? It's just how it works. I can affect change and get whomever in office because this many people, we're all on the same page. Right. The goal is not to be successful and famous. That's not the goal. The goal is, if you have a specific God-given ability, is to live your life out through that, one. And two, we have a responsibility to push the conversation forward until we're all equal. Until we're all equal on this place, because until everyone's free, no one's free. And that's just the fact. It's hard. It's hard to hear songs back. It's hard to perform songs. But I feel it's the most important work that I've done, and I'm very proud of it. And the effect that it's having on people, and even like the studio sessions. Right. We were having 4-hour conversations after playing one song. I learned so much about people that was around me, just my friends. I learned things about them that I didn't know. That in 20-year relationship just from this one song. So I knew it would have that sort of impact beyond myself. It's my responsibility as an artist to go to these places. Oh my goodness. Oh, the most beautiful things are not these objects. The most beautiful things are inside. The most beautiful things are the friendships I have. I have really like golden friendships that, most people don't have. You can have all the watches and paintings in the world. You don't have a friends like I have. The friendships I've acquired and the compassion and the person I've become. Like that's what this chapter is. And the conversations with my mom. Those are the real enriching experiences. You can't sacrifice others for your life. There's a karmic debt that has to be paid. Had I had the level of consciousness then that I have now, things would have turned out differently. And just knowing that, I definitely want everyone to know that.
Well, I'm a person that believes everything that happens to you in life, it happens to shape you as a person. You know what I'm saying? Every struggle, every challenge, everything that's placed in front of you is to see how, strong a person you're gonna become. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I truly believe in that. So I just, like any problem that you had, like in your life, you look back and you thought like, I'm never gonna get over this. This is the worst thing ever. I'm gonna go on from here. You look back, they all past you. You know what I'm saying? They all behind you. So
it's like, don't listen to anyone. Everybody's scared. Everyone tells you how things worked out, but it worked out for you that way. So don't listen to anyone because their experience is unique to who they are. You know what I mean? And then a lot of people will try to put their fears on you.
You can't do that. No, you can't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they just projecting, they're putting things that they don't believe that they can do on you. These are people that come from the same place that I come from. And we're talking about Can I Live? And I'm singing that song and people are looking at me like, I understand, I feel you. Do you understand how much you've affected my life? Or people that listen to my albums that get them through situations, you know, and even illegal activities, if we're being honest, you know. Chains is cool to cop, but more important is lawyer fees. That statement alone changed how people went about, you know, and you had the biggest hit of your record, but that's not really you. That's like, now you're really a prisoner because you have to live like that every day. And imagine being that. Imagine like putting an image out there that's not really you, and then it being really successful.
Yeah.
You know, then you have to live up to that every day. That's you know. And I never wanted to be that. And I certainly don't want to be the guy who gets successful and then just pulls away and just, you know, I can't go out, I can't have a bite to eat, I can't, you know, walk to the store, I can't. Nah, that's not gonna happen. Their movements. Right. I've heard this many times. This is not me just saying this. I've heard people come to me like, man, that line was so powerful for me. It made me put things in perspective. I had a 600 Benz that I was driving up to the projects in my mother's house, but I didn't have any lawyer money. And, you know, it made me prioritize
and think differently.
You know, my life, identity, who we are. This is Rockefeller. You know, we love you, Def Jam, and thank you, Universal. But this is Rockefeller. You know, we've been doing that from day one. So I'm well versed in that fight. So I don't have any fear. I don't have any fear with working with Samsung. You know, because I'm not gonna let them, you know, put a phone on my forehead. That's just never gonna happen. It's like that era when art and music were one. You know, when Basquiat was hanging out with Madonna and Fab Five Freddy, and all those worlds were colliding. Because people have to realize, you know, hip hop and the arts was like this. Because we both were outcasts. We wasn't allowed inside the galleries or inside of Yankee Stadium. We were both outcasts. You know, we were writing on the street and making music. It was one thing. But then art got into the galleries, and then hip hop almost disassociated with it because it's like, oh, it's this bourgeois thing. It became something else. We would play that music more than any other music, right? So you have to have this knowing that, okay, it may not work today, it may not work tomorrow, but this is the right thing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what's feeding me. So that would be the best advice that I can give you. That knowing, just believe in what you're doing, and if you don't believe in it, then you're not doing it. You haven't figured out the thing that you do best yet. When you feel it and when you know, no one can tell you. You only have to be right once. You know, my uncle, he was telling me like, my uncle said I never sell 1 million records. I sold 1 million records like 1 million times. You know, so I'm his nephew. I don't think he meant any malice.
He wanted the best for you, but he
just was
didn't
projecting
believe
his
it.
fears and
Right.
things that, are you crazy? How are you gonna do that? How? You know, I'm sure there's things that I do now that he can't believe that I was able to accomplish. But he couldn't even see it at the time. So he was just projecting, putting his fears on me. So the whole thing is just, you know, and always believe you're great, even before anybody else believes it.
You know, most people that were successful growing up from where I was from never came back. So it was never a dialogue on how'd you do it, what happened. There was no mentoring program there. Was no going back and grabbing a person and teaching them, you know, trade or, you know, what it is that you do, and then that person go back and grab 2 people, and then, you know, and then it goes from there. So I figured I'd start with school.
You know, my first album came out, I was 26, and I had seen so many things in the street, so my attitude was like, man, I've seen so much, and, you know, I don't have anything to prove. I know who I am. I'm a very self-aware person. You know, so when you're self-aware, even when you're dealing with someone's ego, you know when to allow it to, you allow their ego to live in its own space. You know, the problem is when you engage that energy, that's when there's a problem. If you engage the ego with your ego, then it's like, okay, now something has to happen. It can keep escalating to a level that can be irreversible. You know, but if you don't engage the ego, if you know how to manipulate or play around with the ego, or
That's
that
weight in
energy,
itself to people.
and you give light back to darkness. You
Right.
know, it's very difficult.
People
to
don't know
The track and the hook to Holy Grail, you know, way back then.
You know, so I can't say I officially started then. I had pieces of music and ideas, and then, you know, with Timberland and we caught that vibe, then it was a pretty short period of time. It was over
like
a couple weeks. It was
okay.
over, you know, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3. Let's just say 3 weeks, and it was done. Even for anyone else believes in you, and just believe in yourself.
I hope you found that video inspiring. Make sure you hit subscribe as we release more of these videos. We want to see you crush it with your music dreams. We have a brand new book called The Truth About the Music Business, what every artist needs to know before they sign a record deal. Pick it up on Amazon right now or Audible. Listen to the narration, I'm narrating it, or click the link below and get it off our website. Hey, want to remind you that a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits. So keep fighting for your music dreams.